have to stop running from our emotions. So the past couple of videos, I've been talking about how the world is moving into this new space, into this new world, and how we need to ground ourselves. This is a build off of that. So the new world that we are moving into is a more feminine space. And I'm going to get into that. It's a more feminine space. The feminine side of us, the feminine energy that is a part of our body or a part of our spirit is emotional. That's where our emotions are tapped into, the feminine side. And we're leaving this world of like hyper masculine energy and moving into more of a world that is feminine. Everything has to come back into balance. And so what's happened is that we're in this space where technology is at the top. That's the masculine part of things. Like technology is at the top of things. And it's there because it's the logical side of our energy. It's very logical. Technology is very logical. It's not emotional at all. And I'm going to tie it all together. It's not emotional at all. So how Spirit dropped it to me is that we as a collective have gotten into a space of being like AI. Our brains are starting to work like AI. And let me explain that. So if you've ever used AI or ChatGPT, something like that, and you type in, a question, it's going to go on the internet, it's going to get all of the information, and it's going to bring it back to you and lay it out for you perfectly. ChatGPT it'll drop an answer to you just like that and lay it out for you so organized, so perfectly. And that's a tool, that's a reflection of our masculine side, our left brain, which is very, very logical. So AI is perfected logic and how to lay out logical things, lay out things logically. And what it can't do is it can't feel. It can think. ChatGPT is perfected thinking. It's a master at thinking, but it cannot feel. ChatGPT does not have emotions. Making sure I'm out here about the water. I'm making sure ain't no alligators out here. I'm hearing some shit. I think they're just frogs. Right now, y'all keep it cute. But anyway, ChatGPT is a master of thinking. And we as people have gotten into a space of where we're like AI. We're turning into AI. Our mindset is turning into AI because we use technology so much that it's programmed our brains. So like ChatGPT, when we move through life, when we think about life, when we are experiencing life, our default is to go into logic, into thinking. And yes, that's a part of who we are, but that's not the whole of who we are. And where we're coming back into balance is that we have to come into a space of feeling, into a space of emotion. And so one reason why the world is like so out of balance, people are so out of balance right now, is because we are thinking more than we are feeling, way more than we are feeling, thinking way more than we are feeling. And that's causing issues. One reason that anxiety is so high right now is because we're trying to think our way through emotions. That is impossible to do. You can't think your way through emotions. You can explain your emotions by thinking about your emotions, but you have to feel them in order to explain them. You have to feel them in order to get the definition of what you're feeling, the wisdom of what you're feeling. And what's happening is that instead of us feeling our emotions, we've been running from them. We've been distracting ourselves from them. So we've adapted this society has adapted this default of logic and working, all masculine energies. We work too much, we're overworked, and we think too much because we're very much so in our masculine side of our energies. And that's why we're having so much anxiety. The anxiety is caused by you're having an emotion that's trying to come through, that's trying to give you wisdom, because our emotions is where the wisdom comes from. That's where That's where our feelings come from. That's where the heart chakra is. You remember I told y'all, if you saw the video where I talked about put your mind into your feet, I was talking about how the heart chakra is the connection between the heavens and the earth. And same thing within our bodies, that's the connection between our minds, our higher selves, and our bodies, which is the lower three chakras. It's a connection that brings everything into a holistic space. A holistic space. So we got to get into our feelings again. Remember there was this whole thing of like, get out your feels, pick up your feelings. You know, like this whole culture of like, stop feeling and think and start thinking. And yeah, sometimes you gotta keep your emotions in check. But my point in saying that is that we've pulled ourselves into this culture, into this society of like overthinking. It's very, very masculine. And in order for us to get back into balance, we gotta start feeling again. We're in a space of working on healing, right? Everybody wants to tap into their spirituality. Everybody wants to, or now is trying to tap into their spirituality, doing the healing work, doing the shadow work, and all of these things. But you can never think yourself into spirituality. You can never think yourself into your feelings. You have to feel your feelings. You have to feel spirituality. You have to connect with spirituality. Spirituality is something that you connect with through your heart chakra. That's not a thinking space. You have to feel that. The thinking comes in when you explain that to someone. If you want to explain how you feel to someone, that's where you use your thoughts, your words. Like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling hot, or I'm feeling really sad, or I feel like crying, or I feel angry. That's you using your logic to explain your feelings. But you can't use your logic, you can't logically use your thoughts to explain a feeling that you're not feeling. You have to feel it first. You have to be in it in order to feel it and explain it correctly. And what's happening is we're labeling everything. We're putting words and logic on everything. Everybody's reading books and everybody's an expert on how to do spirituality. Everybody's an expert on how to heal yourself. Everybody's an expert on how to do your life. And what's happening is that we're taking in so much information, so much logic that's going into our heads on how to live our life, how to heal ourselves, how to connect to our spiritual self, and we're not feeling. We're not feeling. And so you get caught up in your head with everybody's definition about how do you do life, and then you don't know who the fuck you are anymore. The only way you're gonna connect to yourself is feel. When you connect with someone, you can connect with them on a mental level. Y'all could talk about stuff logically all day, but it's just gonna be surface level. It doesn't get deep when you're connected with someone until you start feeling them, until you can feel their words, until you can feel their heart, until you can feel what they're telling you, feel their energy. If you stay in the logic, it's just gonna be surface level. And that's what we have come to in this society. Everybody's like this. You go somewhere, everybody's like this. They're texting each other. Everybody's texting each other or calling each other. It's less of people gathering together like it used to be back in the day, where you can like experience someone's energy. That's putting us in our heads. And so we have to get back to feeling. Let me get back to the distractions. A lot of us don't know how to manage our emotions anymore because we've gotten so logical, so thinky. Emotions, feelings bring you into the present. Anxiety is basically you worrying about the future. You're thinking about the future, or you're thinking about the past. You're just not present. And so you get caught up in your head in this loop of like the future, or this loop about the past, and you're not present. When you feel something, it brings you present. When you're in the midst of tasting something like really, really good, you're not thinking about it. You're experiencing it. You're feeling it. You eat a meal, you just like, ooh, that shit tastes good as fuck. You're feeling how good that meal is. That's a feeling that brings you in the present. If you're connected with somebody on a real level, or like you're having sex with somebody, you're in the present. You're not thinking, if it's real, if it's good, you're in the present. You're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about the past. You're in the present in that moment with that person because you're feeling. Even when you're going through like a sad situation and you're sad and you're crying, you're present. You're feeling the emotions and you're crying and you're going through whatever feeling that's happening. That brings you present versus you trying to think through that feeling. You can't think through an emotion. Through an emotion, you have to feel the emotion. And so we're in this society of masculine, logical thinking. And that's why everybody's all over the place. Everybody's in the future, or everybody's in the past, or everybody's in somebody else's business, or everybody's in someone else's lives. And that's why nobody knows who the fuck they are, because they're not feeling. There's a saying of, you can't heal it until you feel it. A lot of us are in the generation of generational curse breakers. And it's not necessarily breaking a curse. It's just, in the way that we think about it, it's really just, you're the person that came in the family that feels so deeply. And you're able to feel the ancestral trauma that has passed down. And in order for you to really break that curse, you're gonna have to feel everything that your ancestors went through and allow yourself to be present in those emotions so that they can come out. Emotions are just an energy and motion. But a lot of us, the energy's stuck in our body. That's why there's so much sickness that these doctors are labeling, oh, it's cancer, or oh, it's, I don't know, I'm not gonna go down the list of like ailments that doctors are labeling us with. And they're giving us things to suppress the symptoms. That's not the answer. How we got into the space of being sick in the first place is because we're suppressing our emotions. So using a medicine to suppress the sickness is just gonna make it even worse. We're drugging ourselves to death. And that's the same thing that's happening with life. A lot of us, instead of feeling our emotions, we're in fucking technology. We're distracting ourselves with other people's problems, other people's business. It's set up perfectly for you to get involved into everything else that's going on in the world instead of sitting with yourself and being present with how you feel. That's why a lot of people are stuck. We're not moving forward because we're not letting the emotion come out of us, the emotion or flow through us or come up. Emotions are wisdom. Emotions are giving you information on something that you experienced. That's why when you go through something, if you look back in your life and you've gone through something and it was very tough, it was emotional. And a lot of us don't feel that emotion because we're afraid of emotions now. We've gotten afraid of emotions, the feminine side. We've gotten afraid of it. So instead of it, we think ourselves out of it. And that's causing us to be stuck. So what happens? You repeat the same cycle of the same shit over and over and over and over again. A lot of us, and I know y'all feel me, I've done this over and over. They say if you don't learn the lesson, you'll repeat it. I know that for a fact. I've lived that over and over again. And a lot of experiences in my life, and what I'm learning is you're repeating the lesson because you haven't felt the emotion tied to that experience. The emotion of what you went through originally is still sitting in you. So you're attracting the same situation so that you can feel the emotion. It'll bring up the emotion, and instead of us feeling the emotion, we're distracting ourselves. We're getting into technology. We're in social media. I'm fanning myself because there's fucking gnats everywhere. But we're distracted. We've become victims of our own emotions. Woo. I'm gonna say that again. Because there's a lot of us out here that's like, we think we're victims in these situations that we've been in. No, boo-boo. You're a victim of your own emotion. That's what's really holding you back. And it's only holding you back because it's just like, please just feel me for a second so I can give you this wisdom, and then I'll leave you alone. That's all I want you to do is feel. And this is where the healing work comes in. It all trickles back to what you went through in your childhood. We all experience fucked up shit in our childhood. Some more extreme than others. It just depends on what you came here to experience. But everybody had their cross to bear, as they say in Christianity. Everybody has their cross to bear. So we all went through a lot of shit in our childhood that was emotionally traumatic. And while we were children, we couldn't feel it because we were so tapped into our heart chakras, we were so emotionally connected that really we couldn't handle it, because you can really die of a heartbreak. Children die because their heart was broken too much. Because they're very open, their heart is very, very open. So it was true back then. You had to check your feelings. You had to pick up your feelings. But as we've gotten older and more mature and gone through life a little bit more and got a little bit more logic and a little bit more definition on how life works, now you've become what you needed as a child. You know how to manage your emotions. You know how to make yourself feel safe. You know how to speak to yourself so that you can pick yourself back up. We've gotten the information, we've gotten the definitions, we've gotten all the books, and these past, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years of us being in this healing space, or this information age, I should say it like that. We've gotten all the definitions of how to heal ourselves. Now it's time to put that shit into action. You don't need to read no more fucking books. You don't need to go to no more fucking seminars. And this isn't for everybody, but I'm talking to you. If you feeling this, I'm talking to you. You don't need to get no more information on how to heal yourself. Now it's time to heal. Just heal yourself. That's it. And the way you start with that is to feel. You got to sit with yourself long enough to feel your emotions. Stop running away from them shits. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're going to continue to haunt you until you're ready to feel them. And some of us are afraid to feel our emotions because it reminds us of a time where we couldn't handle our emotions. You can handle them now. You can handle them. And if you feel like you can't, this is where you reach out for help. This is where you go to therapy. This is where you go to somebody that does readings, that's tapped into their divine feminine, that knows how to feel. I'm a reader, I'm a channeler. I know what it takes to read someone's energy. You can't do that shit with your brain. It's through your heart. When I'm giving someone a reading, I'm feeling what they're feeling, but they don't know how to feel their emotions. That's why they came to me. I'm feeling them for them and then explaining to them what they're going through, just to give them a little bit of a channel to get to their own emotions. That's why nobody can heal you. They can just help you heal yourself. So we got to get back into our feelings. We got to stop running from our emotions, because that's the shit that's holding us back. The new world that we're moving into, like I said in the previous video, the new world order, where things are so much better and so much more in alignment, that space is a feminine space. You're not gonna make it there if you're still stuck in your masculinity, hyper masculinity. We need our masculinity. This is not a video about bashing our masculinity. It's about bringing things into balance. We've been too masculine for too long. And this has nothing to do with male or female, because the majority of women right now are too much in their masculine energy. And so we got to bring things back into balance. We got to feel. So the next time you start feeling something, the next time an emotion comes up for you, sit still. Go somewhere where you can sit in it and start feeling how you feel. Just talk to yourself. All right. All right, Alicia. All right, Josh. All right, Amanda. How am I feeling right now? This is how you got to talk to yourself, because you're talking to your younger self, your inner self. What are you going through right now? What is the feeling? And you got to bring awareness. You got to be aware of this shit, because you got to be able to catch when you're feeling something. A lot of us don't even know when we're feeling anymore, because we're so used to distracting ourselves. As soon as you start feeling something, you instantly go to social media. As soon as you start feeling something, you instantly get busy. As soon as you start feeling something, you instantly want to run away. It's time out for that shit. It's time to face the fact. You got some emotions that you got to deal with. And this is the video for you to start dealing with those emotions. The job can get done. If you can't do it yourself, reach out for help. There's plenty of help. There's so many readers out here now. Nobody cares anymore. Like, it's not restricted. There's no more gatekeepers of the readers anymore. They're out here. I'm one of them. And I'm gonna open up my book soon to start doing readings again, like hardcore, because a lot of people are needing help, but in divine timing. But we got to get back into our emotions. We got to feel and stop running from our emotions. So I'm going to leave the video with that. And take this week, take one day or one moment, because sometimes you don't always know when your emotions are going to flare up. Take one moment this week and feel your emotions, whatever they are. When they come up, when you start feeling sad, or you start feeling anxious, or you start feeling angry, take a step back with yourself and feel. Just feel it. Let yourself feel it. If you got to curse, if you got to yell, if you got to cry, if you got to scream, let it come up. Let it come up. I got one more thing I wanted to talk about. I don't want to make this a super long video, because I know our attention spans are short. But I'm going to give a perfect example of feeling. This is something that I experienced recently, is sadness. I have had a lot of sadness in my life. The majority of it was me picking up on other people's sadness that I have been in contact with. Let me move from up here, because I can't do these gnats. I'm going to walk and talk to y'all. A lot of the sadness that I was experiencing was sadness that I picked up from other people in relationships. And so for a long time, I ran from the emotion of sadness and distracted myself from the emotion of sadness. And my vice, because we all have vices, some of us smoke weed, some of us drink too much, smoke weed too much, take drugs too much, distract ourselves with gossip too much, become victims too much. We all have our vice. My vice was traveling. I catch a flight in a minute. As soon as I get stressed out, as soon as I get emotional, I'm catching a fucking flight. I'm out of here. I'm gonna distract myself, or I'm gonna move somewhere. That was my thing. That's how I was running from my emotion. You gotta identify what your thing is. But, oh, the lighting is so much better this way. Anyway, stay focused, Jane. One thing that I realized that sadness isn't sadness in the way that we have been thinking about it. Sadness isn't a bad thing. Sadness is an experience that you are sitting in a deep emotion. Okay? That just means you've gotten yourself in deep emotion. That's not a bad thing. That's not really, really sadness. It's just deep emotion. And so when you sit in that deep emotion, you have access to a deep level of your feminine energy. That's where artists create the most beautiful art, the most beautiful songs, the most beautiful creativity is when you're feeling deeply, when you're sitting in deep emotion. So, and I realized that I got to a point where I'm like, I don't feel creative anymore. I'm having a creative block. As an artist, that's a real thing. And now I'm seeing that that's just because I got too logical and I was running from an emotion. And when I finally was able to sit in that emotion long enough, because I'm running from the sadness, I'm like, I don't want to feel sad. It's going to make me depressed and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, it's not. You sit in it so that you can get through it. Sometimes it takes a short period of time. Sometimes it takes a long period of time. It just depends on how long you've been running away from it. But once I sat in that emotion, I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. Like, this isn't really sadness. It's just I'm feeling a deep emotion. And it reminded me of the time when I first fell in love. That was a deep emotion. There was nothing sad about that. But what happened is that through life experiences, when I started going through traumatic situations while I was in love or in deep emotion, I logically tied me feeling deeply to feeling sad or to going through trauma or being through toxicity. And that's not what that is. That's just what I experienced at that time because it was a lesson I needed to learn. It was just wisdom that I needed to connect to. So I just wanted to give an example of how you do this emotional work of feeling again. It's really, really simple, but we've made it super complicated because we're too much in our heads. And that's why we're not grounded. And that's why we don't know who the fuck we are. We're just floating around in space. We're just floating around in the world. We're just floating in the cloud, in the iCloud. We're just in the iCloud with all these fucking words and pictures and all this shit. And just like, where the hell am I? What am I supposed to do? What is my purpose? I don't know who, what, when, where, and how. Yeah, you got to come back down to earth, boo. Get out of space. And like I said in the previous video, since all of us are up here, in order to get back down to earth, to the lower chakras, you got to go through the heart. You got to feel. All right. I'm going to leave y'all with that. I have given a lot of information that y'all can take and meditate to. And I will see y'all in the next video because it's starting to rain, even though that is even more confirmation of getting into your emotions. The water is your emotions. So if you're, that's another, I'll say that and then I'm done. If you're having problems connecting to your emotions, get in some water. Take a bath, take a shower, go by a river, go by the ocean, go by a lake, go by a pond. The water is your emotions. That'll help you pull it out. And then you can journal and talk about it or think about it or whatever you need to do. All right, you guys, I will see y'all in the next video. Take care of yourself, feel your emotions, and keep on your path. Peace.